I, for a long time, kind of swore at the fact that people had went forward and reported my attempt, because the city police didn't. So, but I was really sour at them because they forced me to go to mental health. I did not want to do that because I didn't want to lose my career. If I was going to be living, at least I would have a career. And exactly what my fear was is exactly what happened, you know? So I was really sour about it for a long time. I'm still really upset with that's the way that the system worked, because you broke me, so you should probably keep me in a little bit longer than just throwing all, like, okay, she gone, you know? But I will say that VAC is doing a great job. Like, I do feel supported now, so.
Yeah. When you can answer the phone or open the envelopes, right?
Right.
Yeah. I know that struggle.
There's been a lot of things that I've missed. They're like, well, you didn't sign this piece of paper. I'm like, oh, I don't know.
What struck me about what happened with me, when I was able to look at it objectively,
Mm-hmm.
I held it together for 17 years after being diagnosed.
Yeah.
And I minimized it and I hid it and I managed it, you know, so I was open enough about it to manage it well.
Right.
And what essentially happened was one day I woke up and went, nope, that's it, I'm done. This is, you know, I reached my limit and my breaking point, and it was just this one day. And I didn't think of it at the time, but to the chain of command and to the people around me, you know, it probably looked like, well, he was fine yesterday, but I totally set the conditions for that.
Right.
And, you know, as the individual, it's hard to recognize that. And yeah, it's definitely hard for the establishment to catch up with that too.
It is. But I mean, some of the documents that we have, they have to be revised, especially for reservists. I went through an extra challenge because I was a reservist. So when they found out that I was on a TCAT, my contract was terminated, and
as was support then, probably?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I was sent now back across the country, and without any medical support. And they wouldn't give me a contract because I wasn't medically fit, but I was unmedically fit because they put me on that TCAT. And it just seemed like a never-ending cycle, which don't want to blame it just on that, but I did attempt suicide again, because I just felt like there was no hope. Like, I can't, you know, I was doing well with treatment, and now that was ripped away from me, and I felt very alone. You know, that I gave literally half my life to the military, and now I needed help. And they were just saying, F you, like, you know.
Or you're in that administrative.
Yeah, you're a reservist, and we're, you know, sorry about your luck.
And it's hard not to take that personally too.
Yeah, definitely.
I found that I kept falling into these little cracks, like between all the different components that are supposed to help you with that. You know, mental health, physical health, social work, you know, policy. And I just didn't fit any of the boxes, and I just kept falling into the holes. And I'd never considered that as a reservist. It's like, well, your contract's over, so.
Then my contract wasn't even over. They terminated it.
Oh, wow.
But that's a whole other story we won't have to get into.
No, but you know what? I am glad you brought that up because, you know, so far everybody I've spoken to has been a regular force member. And that's definitely something that I'm sure other people who are in your situation have experienced. Because it's something that never occurred to me because I was in that bubble of having a 20-year contract.
That's right.
So no, I'm really glad you did bring that up. And yeah, we don't need to explore that too much further.
But we can, like, I mean, in what has to be changed. And I mean, it's too late for me, so there's no point in saying specifics. But it's that we're supposed to always be able to tag green.
Yeah.
Right? We're supposed to be deployable. But if we're not able to receive the medical attention in which we need, especially if it is something that is deemed service related, we shouldn't have to jump through so many hoops, especially because I was without medical or mental health for a year and a half.
And that's not because you didn't want to access services.
That's right. I was fighting my ass off. Wow. I was going to the base hospital. I was, you know, trying to have a meeting with the base surgeon fighting my case that, listen, I was on contract, or at least just let me have the 6 months that I was supposed to have, but it was an uphill battle, and it was basically like, stop yelling, where we can't do anything. And so it has to be changed. 100% it has to be changed, that if a reservist requires something medically, whether it be physio for a broken arm or something, or for mental health, give it to them. They sign that piece of paper. You've put money into their training and into them. And if they're willing to go get better, then help them get better. And so that they can once again dag green. But the issue being, if they're not healthy, like medically fit, then they can't get a contract. And without a long enough contract as well, you can't get the medical services.
See, I had known reservists, and there's one case in particular I know of, and this is from Croatia, where he was very gravely injured, but essentially when he came home off tour, well, your Class C contract is ended, and he was cut loose and adrift.
Right.
And I know that gap did it. I didn't realize that gap still existed to that degree. I thought that loop had been closed. So it's not to that degree anymore, but I know that I'm not the only one. Some people with physical things that they had to get out, or they got out because they just became so upset with the system. And for a reservist, some people are, they have their own business, or they're a doctor, and these injuries that we've sustained in the military carry on to our civilian careers as well. So now those can be at risk, and just like a regular force person, families and ultimately our lives. So those policies do have to be changed. I've heard that they are looking at them. Hopefully beat yeah, like so many things. But no, and that's that's great. I'm really glad you brought that up, because that's the part of talking to other people, because my story or this one person's story, it's limited. I was in this bubble. I had this narrow focus, and I was a reservist, but I never deployed as a reservist. I never sustained any of those injuries as a reservist. I never had any of those experiences. So I didn't, I never realized that gap, and I didn't realize that still existed. All right, wow.
One other thing that I will mention, because I have to say I'm very, very strong on it, and I'm not saying it's any individual, I'm sure it's just this big policy, but within our mental health in the military, and it may be in the civilian way too, but it's not necessary, or that it actually will happen, that if somebody has addictions in the military, they don't just, out of routine, give them the mental health survey, which is a big old book and it takes forever, but it's good. They don't give them that questionnaire, and addiction falls under mental health. So I've seen more than one, in one case that I'm very close to personally, but have been left to their own demise essentially, and they're just written off as a shithead, just don't drink.
Yeah.
Well, obviously it's not that easy, or so many lives wouldn't be ruined by just don't do that. And it honestly, it was only because I was at a mental health appointment with a friend that was really struggling, and I overheard the doctor say, well, you've already been diagnosed, so we don't need to do that questionnaire again. And I said, well, what has she been diagnosed with aside from addiction? She said, well, that's it. She said, this is her third time in here. Don't you think that there's some other thing like at the root of it? Well, we haven't done that. I said, I feel like a lot of things could be at least, acted upon quicker if that was just part of the routine, you know? Or maybe some people would be flagged if this was given out every so often, you know? It's a long, in-depth questionnaire, and they ask you questions the same time, like 10 different ways.
Yep.
So even the person that's trying to hide something
You slip up.
may slip up.
Yep.
And
It's like, what, 4 pages?
really?
I'm trying to think.
Oh, hell no. At least the one that they gave me was not 4 pages.
I'm thinking 4 to 6 pages was the only one I've seen.
No,
wow.
no. This took me half a day.
Oh my, no, I haven't done that one.
I'm a slow reader, but I mean, it took a long time. Yeah, and maybe not to everybody, although I do think that that's a good thing to maybe consider taking in. But definitely, if people are going to mental health, even if it's just for, feeling of depression lately, that could be the beginning to the end for somebody. And certainly, if people are going in with addictions, I don't know why. I'm still shocked. I'm still floored by the fact that it took me to notice that she had not had the opportunity to take that questionnaire.
Yeah.
Something, it seems like common sense.
Yeah. Now, I say I don't remember one that long, but my screening and diagnosis was in 2001, 2002.
Right.
And so I spent like 17 years of minimizing in between. So it may have happened and I've just forgotten.
Right, yeah.
Before
No.
I throw somebody under the
Yeah,
bus.
no.
Maybe,
Well, and there's different ones. Like, oh my God. I've done ones that are shorter, so maybe this was the one that's like, we're going to see if you're real crazy.
Maybe. Okay. Wow. So we kind of we ran with when did you leave the forces and why for a good one.
Yeah, we did.
So real quick, we'll go back to just that focus on that reflection of service, and all in all, and I asked this question because the question I always get asked by people when they're brave enough to ask it is, would you do it again? So the question I guess I ask is, the way I phrase it is, how do you feel about your service in the forces? Just, encompassing, would you do it again? Or, how do you look back on it? All those things.
I'm proud. And I definitely do it again. I don't like to regret anything really in life. And through the bad shit came tons of amazing things and amazing people. There's people that I met that I'll be friends with, that I consider family for the rest of my life. And the things that I've learned and am able to now apply to regular day life, and I'm sure to whatever my next career may be, I don't think I would have ever had I not joined the military. And I proved to myself that I was capable in that, and I did things that I never ever thought that I would be doing. Why was I Repel Master? But that's cool, No, so I got to experience a lot of things. I got to prove to myself that I was capable. I've been told that I've influenced other people, and the people I've met will have these relationships with, and I got to live across Canada, and I wouldn't take it back at all. No, because there's going to be shit no matter what you do in life, it's not always going to be rainbows and butterflies.
Yeah.
So and I feel like I am being looked after now with Veterans Affairs, and it might have been a struggle, but through that struggle as well, I kind of figured out my true passion and talent in life, and now get to meet people like you and do stuff like this. So without that struggle, if it just went easy peasy, then none of this would have happened. So I'm kind of thankful for the struggle.
Yep. Yeah, I've kind of looked around at people, and it's not a shot at people who don't share those experiences with me or with us. Mm-hmm. But I see the difference, and I see that, so many things I wouldn't be aware of, and so many things I wouldn't appreciate, and so many things I wouldn't know about myself if life had always been
comfortable,
or not uncomfortable in the way that it has been. Because I can say, like, somebody doesn't have to be in the forces to have life that's uncomfortable.
Of course not.
But there's it would be different, and yeah, there's times where I say sometimes I'm thankful to have PTSD because of how aware I need to be of so many things around me and so many,
Yep.
and learn to be about myself. And while that makes so many things challenging, it opens the door to a level of appreciation that I don't think would have ever been possible if life had been simple.
That's right.
Yeah. It's it's the blessing and curse, right?
Yeah, it sucks, you know. If wouldn't it be great to not have post-traumatic stress disorder? Wouldn't it be great if the the sexual assaults and picking up bodies hadn't happened to bring me to PTSD? But at the same time, I have people reaching out to me because they've seen an article in the newspaper and saying thank you for sharing your story. And I've never met them face to face, but I still talk to them, and I'm so humbled and honored when people come up to me and say thank you for sharing, and I can relate, or ask for help or advice or anything. Like, I'm so happy and proud that I can be in that position. I wouldn't change it for the world. And honestly, the days that I don't know if I can get up for myself, sometimes I do get up now because I want to help others that are struggling. It's like, fuck man, I feel ya. I did not want to either, but I'm doing it. So if I can't find a purpose for myself that day, I find it in other people's strength and courage and wanting to prove to them that it's possible to carry on, as uncomfortable and shitty as it may be at times, but that gives me my purpose now. So what the hell would my purpose have been if I was just puking over the side of the ship? I would have really hated that too. So maybe it's good I got kicked out when I did.
Go right on to the third part, and that's so what are you doing now?
So right now I am the director of Veterans Outreach for the Society of Atlantic Heroes, and it's a not-for-profit run by all volunteers, and our goal is to build a facility that will reintegrate veterans and first responders that suffer with PTSD, and also treat their families as well, because that's a huge part, back into society and give them their purpose again. In this facility, like I said, it will treat them, that it's a holistic approach, and treat their families, and also with a research center. And first, there's kind of more of a rehabilitation center first for crisis. And we currently have an apartment that's been donated to us by Killam Properties in Halifax, so that families can be with their loved ones if they need treatment in Halifax. And that gives me my purpose. That's what my job is right now as the volunteer. I'm also volunteering with Mo Mondays Halifax, which is kind of finding inspiration through other people's stories in your community. So I've spoken at that, and I help with promotions and sponsorship, and hoping to go back to school for emergency management, because I love getting in the shit. And whether that happens this year or not, because I don't have the prerequisite, which is secondary education, but I'm trying to fight it. But if it doesn't happen right now, then hopefully, I'll figure it out. But right now I'm just kind of rolling with the punches and trying to get healthy. Yeah. So if more treatment is what I need, or I know I need more treatment, but if more treatment is what I focus on this coming year while volunteering, then so be it. It will all fall into place, I'm sure. It has for 33 years. So yeah, but Society of Atlantic Heroes, go visit it.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we covered what you do to manage and treat your struggles or injuries. Anything other than finding that purpose and passion? Like, what else do you do to your day-to-day, some of the things you do to keep going?
The gym used to be huge for me. I fell out of that when I was just kind of, just one of the stages, I guess. But getting back into the gym, physical fitness is huge. Reading and socializing with friends, making myself go out and do things. And random trips, traveling around. Oy. Yeah, and meeting new people. Like, this has been awesome. This is random.
Yeah.
I'm in Ontario, and now I'm out in the middle of like Erie and and being interviewed. So no, it's stuff like that that I absolutely love to do, and that basically fills my day. You would think that I should get to the unpacking part, but I haven't.
I got a room full of stuff that's not.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely, I feel you there. You know, is there anything else you want to share as part of, you know, with anybody who might be watching, or?
I guess just don't be ashamed. Be proud that you're, and thankful that you're willing, or you're able to recognize that you need some help. Honestly, everybody should talk to somebody at some point anyway. And if you're the person that is suspecting it, don't be afraid to broach the topic and be blunt about it, because you're not going to make somebody commit suicide because you say suicide, you know. And there's no textbook of exactly how to treat one person, and you can only do so much. Don't take on everybody else's problems, but be there as support and just listen and do what you can to, you know, if somebody needs to cry, then let them cry, and try not, this is more for the people that are watching those around them suffer, try not to take it to heart, because we want nothing more than to, I'll cry, we want nothing more than to show the appreciation, and we want to make you guys happy. We want to make ourselves happy. But it's a process, and it's not an easy one. So try and have patience, and we'll thank you for it in the end. And, you know, we'll make you proud. You know, it's a struggle, and we all just have to come together as a community and just try and fight through the shit, and have each other's backs, and don't be afraid to, like I said, reach out to somebody if you're the one that's struggling, and don't be afraid to reach out to somebody and ask them if they're struggling, or if it comes to it, then to have to get other people involved, because it takes lives. PTSD takes lives all the time, you know. It almost took mine, and like I said, silence is what almost killed me. And speaking is literally now, you know, my purpose. So it can switch, and just have faith in yourself and have faith in others and the process, and knowing that sadness is just as real as happiness. So, you know, you're never afraid to laugh if something's funny, or you're pissed off and show anger or aggression, but yet we all hold back from showing sadness, but that's just as real. So allow yourself to be sad and to have those tears, because it's a sign of strength. It's not a sign of weakness. So hang in there. But thanks very much for having me. This is awesome.
Oh, thank you. No, it's been great. And like I said, it's a year coming. I was really disappointed that we didn't connect when I was in Nova Scotia last year. I was like, shit, you know, but you know, I did that on a whirlwind, so it's not surprising that people people found out I was there after I left.
Well, it was your mom, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was your mom that contacted me to get you to get me to contact you.
Yeah, props to mom.
Props, mom.
Out, yeah. And I remember, the first time we talked, I was sitting in the big stop in Truro in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Talking to you on the phone, and I'm like, I'm going, you know. Yeah.
You were going to Newfoundland.
Yeah, I'd already been by.
Yeah.
I'd actually been by that day.
You're right.
So,
yeah.
But, no, that's great. I really appreciate it, and I can't thank you enough. And I'm glad we had a beautiful day and this opportunity to come out here, because, you know, my thing is connecting with nature. And if you're going to talk about this heavy shit, don't sit in a room somewhere and do it. Let's get out here, and now we get to have the wind therapy the whole way home.
That's right.
You know,
and kill these mother effers.
Exactly. We're going to make some wind and see if we can't get rid of them.
Freak you, nature.
All right. Thanks, Mia.
Thank you.